Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Courtside Soundoff podcast once again. I'm Josh Allen. As always, welcome by the one and only man of the hour, too sweet to be sour. It is Angel Ortega. A lot of stuff to talk about this week. Obviously, UFC Vegas 61 happened last Saturday. Got to go over that. Bellator to go over. We also going to cover a little bit of kickboxing as well as some MMA and boxing news. Before we get into that, as always, we are brought to you by Rogue Energy. If you want 10% off your order at RogueEnergy.com, use the code SOUNDOFF at checkout. It's code SOUNDOFF at checkout for 10% off of all your energy needs. I gotta be honest, I've been hitting the gym a lot recently. I'm trying to better myself. I'm trying to get into more shape. The winter's coming, and want to be in shape. Don't want to pack on the pounds like a lot of people tend to do at that time. So you know what I've had with me? You know what keeps me fueled? You know what keeps me going throughout the day during my workouts? Rogue Energy. Whole bunch of stuff to choose from. And if you go to RogueEnergy.com, you can get code SOUNDOFF for 10% off. Get yourself something nice. Holidays are coming up. If you want to get something for someone as well from there, that could help as well. Code SOUNDOFF. Once again, 10% off. Support yourself and support us as well. RogueEnergy.com. Code SOUNDOFF. Last Saturday night from the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada, UFC Vegas 61, the women's strawweights going to battle. Mackenzie Dern, Yan Xiaonan. I think going into this fight, it was very much a tale of two very different fighters. We know that Mackenzie Dern, she's becoming more well-rounded over time, but she's still a grappler at heart. And Yan Xiaonan is very, very technically proficient. If there's an issue we've seen, it's on the ground. In the end, both fighters really honestly put it on each other at times. In the end, though, it's Yan Xiaonan picking up a majority decision win, 48-47, 48-47 in one dissenting judge, 47-47. Look, man, this fight was very, very close. It was kind of a tale of two fights, man. The rounds that Yan Xiaonan won were very, very clear, and the same case for Mackenzie Dern. A lot of people scored this thing a draw, one judge did. What did you think about the performance, and how did you score it on Saturday?
Man, it was a hard fought victory for Yan, right? Obviously a close fight. I think a lot of things that were brought up before the fight happened, and I got to give credit to Yan, right? She said that one of the things that you need to do against Mackenzie Dern is engage her on the ground. Not, you can't just go down there. I feel like a lot of times people when they play, they're going up against a jiu-jitsu player or even a wrestler, they're almost afraid to go down there, which it makes sense, right? You don't want to be in those positions. You want to be down there, but it's like, if they're so good at it, it's going to happen at some point. You need to at least defend it in some capacity, Mm-hmm. And she did. She fought, she made her way out of this position. She fought on the ground. She transitioned to positions where she was able to do damage. And we talked about it, how Mackenzie needs to find a way to get her takedowns, man. And it was evident. And at times, I think she also made some mistakes where it was, she didn't prioritize position over submission. It was actually something that, we saw later on in the night in another promotion we brought up during the fight in AJ McKee's fight where AJ's trying to attempt some submissions. His dad's like, hey, stop trying to go for the submission, break him down, and then get to submission. Where I feel like Mackenzie's probably going to take something out of that and prioritize position over submission, doing some damage, then going for, getting her hooks in, doing however she wants to make it happen, right? Obviously, whatever in her mind she can do or sees that she can attack. And for me, man, I gotta give it to Yan. She did good on the feet, great technically. Respect to her for going to the ground with Mackenzie because, she's dangerous there. And Mackenzie had some submission attempts, and you never know, man. But once it's locked in, and it's going to be really hard to get out of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and full credit to her because there were rounds where she was being wailed on. She was having to defend a lot of submission attempts, but she stayed calm, she stayed composed, and ultimately she ends up picking up the win. I will admit, though, I like Yang Jonan a lot, actually. I thought this is a really nice win for her. And she's also, she's a good interview. She's really, really cool. And I think it's bullshit that she did not get a title shot before her fight with Esparza. I think that division as a whole is kind of log jammed. But even then, I thought she deserved a title shot at the time. But regardless, I did not think she won that fight. I thought that was about as clear of a draw you'll have in MMA, to be completely honest with you. I thought round 1, 3, this is what I said during the kind of the opening thing, but I was like, rounds 1, 3, and 4 were all very clear for Yan Xiaonan. I thought round 2 was a very clear Dern round, but I did not think there was enough damage, nor was there enough sub-attempts to get it at 10-8. I thought round 5 was about as clear of a 10-8 you're gonna find. So I personally scored the thing a draw. Would you?
I had it for Yan, man. I thought she won. Obviously, there was a rounds of question. I saw. I mean, I get the draw, right? I get it all. I just thought she won it, man. It's my personal opinion. Obviously, we've been differing lately, right? We've been at odds, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
and look, I think I love to see them almost run that fight back. It was actually I think that fight they pushed each other very well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a very important thing to say. It's not like one was so fucking dominant over the other and obliterated them. I think genuinely, if they ran this fight back, I'm curious to see what adjustment Mackenzie would make and what Yan would do different. I don't think maybe she'd do too many things differently. I think she would, if anything, look better the next time around. But, and Josh, and I know we're kind of stepping away from the scorecard thing, and it's more to talk about Mackenzie than anything. Mm-hmm. I feel like her as a fighter is very far from a finished product. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, as a mixed martial artist, she's very far from it. Look, she was able to find a lot of success early on in her career with the jits, be able to get away with doing certain things. But I think at the highest level right now, when you break it down to the top 3, 4 girls in the division, she's lacking. She's behind in some capacity. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. When she gets to the Roses, to the Wei Lees, let's be honest. Right now, she's not going to beat them with this skill set.
Mm-hmm.
And that's no disrespect to her because she's talented. She's a hard worker. You see it. You see her progression.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the thing about Mackenzie Dern is all people are like, oh, she's got to go to a wrestling camp, AKA she has to work on her striking more. The thing is about Mackenzie Dern is that
I keep hearing about the wrestling thing, dude. I heard it on another podcast, and she needs to go work with Henry Cejudo, and they named some other guys. Cejudo's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. But other guys. I mean, shit. And who's the guy at the guys in Vegas, the ones in Ngannou train with them too? I think they brought them up. Eric Nixick, they brought them up to. Well, they specifically their wrestling coach. I can't think of his name.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But just in general, that she needs to go out there and work with them. And look, there's some good. I mean, shit, Miesha Tate available out there. I mean, there's gals out there that she can work with. She could always, I'm sure if she wanted to, she could find, get some international help or something, whatever it may be. I mean, shit, it's not unheard of for athletes to fucking train with Olympic teams and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Whatever she wants to do. Obviously, that I think we're pushing it a little bit there, but I think the important thing, and I feel like I cut you off here from your point. I'll let you talk here in a second. Is I think she just needs to blend everything.
Mm-hmm.
She needs to find the perfect way of blending everything. I mean, I'll put it I think a great example of this is, and we mentioned him already, Henry Cejudo, going from his striking to his wrestling. It's so smooth. You know what I mean? It's not forced. It's not and look, there's certain guys who could get away with forcing shit, let's say Khabib, because he's just so fucking good. He can force the wrestling relentlessly. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like for her, she needs to find a way to be able to mix everything and blend it together because she's far from that. It's not necessarily just breaking it down to she needs to wrestle. She needs to know how to wrestle. She just needs to know how to take that. It's being able to blend it all together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the thing is about her is I don't know what the answer is either because she's improving. She is, and I think that's the most clear thing. It's even though she's losing these close fights, this fight here was a majority decision. Obviously, her Marina Rodriguez loss was very, very close. She had moments in that one. she's changed camps before, multiple times. I don't remember what her original camp was, but I know she ended up and she's had, according to her wiki, she's had 3 different camps since she started MMA. She worked with the MMA Lab, she worked with Black House MMA in Brazil, now she works with Jason Perillo. Jason Perillo is a fucking incredible coach. So I think people that are like, oh, she needs to change up a camp and go to this camp, like, Jason Perillo is a fucking incredible coach. One of the best coaches in MMA. I understand he's kind of more a striking-based guy, but, like, the guy's trained in multiple world champions. Especially guys that have, like, really good ground game as well, like Chris Cyborg, BJ Penn. Like, I know that he trained Rockhold, too, so it's not like Marlon Vera, it's not like he's training just scrubs on the mat when it comes to wrestling. So, I don't know what the answer for her is. I think sometimes you forget she's honestly still relatively young in terms of this MMA game. Mm-hmm. She's 29 years old, which is not that young, but, like, she's only been taking MMA seriously, like, since she had her kid, which was in 2019. Like, I think people kind of forget. Like, before that, she was half in, half out, which is why she got kicked out of, like, a couple of camps. She got kicked out of Black House, you know what I mean? And she really didn't take MMA seriously until she had her kid, which was just, 2 years ago. And now she's kind of evolved a lot during that time. I think she should stick with Jason Perillo and see what happens from there. I think she's so close. Like, she's so close to being a really good fighter. She just has to find a way to blend everything perfectly, like you said. Because, like, her wrestling's not bad. It's just, like, she's not great at flowing with things yet, if you know what I mean. Like, she does things in ways like, oh, I know I have to take him to the mat now. I know that I have to do this now. She just does not have, like, the greatest fighter IQ mindset as of right now. That's what I think is probably the biggest thing holding her back. But even then, like, she's elite. Like, there's nothing wrong with being the 5th best woman at women's strawweight, which is one of the best divisions of the UFC. Arguably, she should have won this fight. Like, it is what it is. She's very, very close, and I expect her to be back here again in the future. But there's enough time spent on the main event. Co-main event was a pretty good fight, a bit of controversy, but in the end, Randy Brown ends up picking up a unanimous decision win over Francisco Trinaldo. Rude Boy ends up moving to a 4-fight winning streak. A little bit of controversy in this one. I believe it was in round 1. Francisco Trinaldo had a dead to rights for a takedown. Randy Brown grabbed the fence, did not have a point taken. Despite, I know that even the commentary team called on the referee to take a point. Did not end up happening. If not, we would have had, a draw, but.
That would have sucked.
Yeah, right. So give me your thoughts on this matchup and, Randy Brown getting his 4th win in a row.
I mean, good win. Obviously shitty with that situation, right? But hey, man, it happens. Obviously, still crummy, right? It's point probably should have been taken away, and it changed the outcome of potentially. Who knows, right? There's a lot of factors that play into it. We're not gonna try to assume or speculate right now. And what is it called? I mean, look, I'll tell you what though. Outside of that though, Randy Brown, as far as his individual performance in this fight, was good. I mean, we got to give credit where credit is due. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I mean, he was fighting an old dog, but that old dog is fucking fit and can fucking fight. Because let me tell you, he did not get that guy out of there.
Absolutely.
He did drop him to his ass though at one point, didn't he? If I remember right.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So he did some shit, man. We got to give some credit where credit is due. Look, even with all of that, so much love to Randy Brown. Hopefully, he clearly is gonna have to face some better competition going forward. Obviously, not to say Ronaldo isn't good. He's very good at his age and everything, but I think Randy Brown's due for some step up in competition too, though.
I think he's due for a ranked opponent specifically.
Well, yeah, that's where it is. It is. Yeah, you're correct.
Yeah, Trinaldo's probably like the best fighter that's not ranked to 170 or close to it. So
which is crazy to say that a 46-year-old man, 44-year-old man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still that damn good. Like, it feels like just ridiculous, but he's a guy who just does not get his due credit in the overall like MMA community. But regardless, yeah, man. Randy Brown, solid win by him. I think he's a guy that most people don't really think about in terms of like contenders. Not even really contenders, about just guys that are at the top of 170. But he's getting there, man. Like at 32, I believe, he's getting better rapidly every single fight. So we'll see what happens with him moving forward in the future. Overall, this UFC card had some moments.
I mean, it started off hot. It started off fucking
very,
hot.
I thought it was going to be the best card of the year, straight up. But which fights are you most looking forward to talking about?
Oh man, dude, it's kind of a sad one in a way because of, for the opponent. We saw Sadiq Yusuf, man, was at one point the co-main for this card, right? Before he got the opponent change. Wow. He got that shit done quick. Dodge Shadis, man, I don't know what to say, but I gotta give him credit. Obviously, coming in on short notice, he had the right idea. Go in there as hard as possible, try to get him out. Yeah, no, Sadiq Yusuf was not having that.
No, not at all. But I said on Twitter when that fight happened, I like fights like that because, like, it shows that there is levels to this shit, dude. Like, like Sadiq Yusuf is one of the best fighters on the planet at 145 pounds. Don Shanes is a guy that, he had some good wins on the regional scene, but the reality is that he's not a top-level fighter, and he took this fight on 1-2 week notice, roughly, And Sadiq Yusuf did exactly what he needed to do out there, man. I mean, it was not even close. So
also, it'll be a quick turnaround for Sadiq, I'm assuming, since this was so quick.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll get a good matchup for him soon. You know what I mean? Because he's one of those guys that is so close to being like that guy at 145. You know what I mean? Like, he's really fucking close, in my opinion. Only 29 years old, getting rapidly better each fight. Only loss in UFC was to Arnold Allen, and Arnold Allen's a monster.
Yeah, no shame in that one.
No, not at all. So, yeah, we'll see what happens to him in the future. Honestly, there were some other good wins on the main card. Ronnie Barcelos defeating Trevin Jones. Mike Davis picking up a win. But the prelims was the craziest shit I've seen in a long time. Yeah, I mean, just all but one fight ended up being a finish, and I believe only one of those fights made it out of the first round. I mean, we had Guido Canetti opening up the card, getting a submission over Randy Costa in the first minute. Dude, Guido Canetti is 42 years old, about to be 43, at a weight class where you don't normally fight past 35, and he's beaten two guys in a row that are both way younger than him. And Randy Costa at one point looked like a guy that oh shit, he might be a contender. He was in his 20s. He won two quick fights in a row by knockout. He had that fight with Adrian Yanez, which is a big deal. And has lost 3-0, probably going to be out of the UFC, sadly. But, Guido Canetti, that was a hell of a win by him. Chelsea Chandler, former Invicta, well, I guess both these people are former Invicta alums, beating the dog shit out of Julia Stoliarenko, man. Julia Stoliarenko is coming off that really solid win over Jessica Rose Clark, but dude, this was not even close. Brendan Allen, I gotta be honest with you, this is the most surprising result of the card for me. Brendan Allen making it easy.
Something? I need to ask you something. Is that because of the fighters and opponent, or is that because of the outcome of the fight? I
mean, it's a little column A, little bit column B. I thought it was about a 50-50 matchup between them.
You know what's crazy to me? I was full on Brendan Allen for the longest until people started saying, and it's not. Trust me, it's not that I didn't think Krzysztof Jotko was good and could win this fight. I thought it was a dangerous fight, but I was the whole time was Brendan Allen. And once people started saying stuff like this, saying like that, it changed my opinion. I was wholeheartedly the whole way I was Brendan Allen. I want you to know that right now.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, once people started speaking and saying things, it started changing my mind. I don't know why, but the outcome ended up being what I thought it possibly could have been, a finish for Brendan Allen or a big one for Brendan Allen. But I am a little shocked that people were, I wouldn't say as surprised, but doubtful, or I don't know what it is.
Well, so my thing is that Krzysztof Jotko, it's not that I doubted Brendan Allen, because I thought that was a 50-50 matchup, straight up. But the thing about
that's fair.
Yeah, the thing about Krzysztof Jotko is he's never been annihilated in anybody. He's never had a fight where he did not have some success. You know what I mean? Brendan Allen just made it look easy, man. Getting the first round sub. And Krzysztof Jotko, he's good on the feet, but on the mat, that's only the second time he's ever been subbed. So, in 30 fights. And he's been in there with some killers, dude. So, yeah, that was pretty crazy to me that he was able to go ahead and submit him and get him out of there as easily as he did. That was pretty surprising to me. And another fight that was a little bit surprising, Joaquin Silva making it easy against Jesse Ronson. I feel bad for Jesse Ronson, honestly. He debuted with a no contest. At one point, this kid seemed like a pretty decent prospect, but he had that really rough first UFC run. He ended up getting signed again, and his second run has not been much better than his first. Technically winless. He had a win in there that was overturned, but yeah, man, just brutal. And then the other big fight on the prelims. Dana Santos picked up a nice knockout win over John Castaneda, but Ilir Latifi defeating Alexei Oleinik by decision. I thought was probably one of the clearest results. I saw it coming from a mile away. Oh, yeah. And in the end, it seems like that'll probably be Ilir Latifi's last fight in the UFC. What do you think about that?
Did he announce he's retired? He laid a glove.
He did not announce he's retiring, but what he went ahead and said is that it's his last fight on his deal, and that he may not be back.
Well, he's 40 years old, and he's a heavyweight. It is what it is, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where I'm at. He had a solid UFC career, especially considering, he's a guy that fluctuated weight classes a lot. He only got the call up when he was 7-2, and he got the call up on, a week's notice to fight Gegard Mousasi. So, yeah, he had a good run for what it is, and, didn't become champion, but he had some nice wins in there. Especially that one over OSP. That fight was low-key violent as fuck. He knocked out, that was OSP whenever, OSP looked like he was gonna go on a title run. He lost to Jones. If I remember correctly, this is how I remember it. He lost to Jones, then he got knocked out by Manuel, and then he lost to Volkan. We're like, oh shit, OSP's done ski, dude. He's not coming back. And then he beats Marcos Rogerio de Lima with a Von Flue. He chokes out Yushin Okami with a Von Flue. He knocks out Corey Anderson cold in MSG. And then if you beat Latifi, you feel like you're going to get a title shot. Instead, Latifi drops his ass and then puts him in a modified guillotine, standing choke. Puts him out, brutally. It's a low-key, super violent fight people don't talk about. But yeah, man, if that's it for Ilir, hell of a run, man. Hell of a run. But, yeah, man, that's all we got for UFC talk. UFC's not coming back until October 15th, and that'll be in the Apex. Another women's main event, Alexa Grasso and Vivian Algero, which is actually honestly, low-key a banger, not gonna lie. Yeah. And then there's a couple of other big names on the card. Rafael Sunsao, Victor Henry, Misha Serkinov, Alonzo Menafield, Cub Swanson's going to be back. Brandon Royval, Aster Askarov. Friend of the show, Mike Jackson's going to be back against Pete Rodriguez. That is a hell of a card.
It's a well-filled-out card.
Yeah, Neil Magny, D-Rod on that one as well. So
I know this is random as fuck, Josh, but I just Mr. Miyagi defied.
For real?
With my hand.
Fuck yeah, dude.
I'm holding it right now. It's moving.
But you should probably just kill him.
That's a bit violent, Josh. Come on.
Well, I'm just saying. Regardless. Yeah, hell of a card on October 15th. And then after that, we got UFC 280. My God. But,
oh, yeah,
man. Yeah. But we don't have any MMA this week to go over in terms of, previews, but we do got another recap to go ahead and hit. Bellator 286 going down from Long Beach Arena in Long Beach, California. The main event, a little bit overshadowed by the co-main, which we'll talk about in a minute, but Patricio Pitbull ends up getting a unanimous decision win over Adam Boric. Maybe not the most entertaining fight, but he got the job done, 48, 47, 49, 46, 50, 45 on the scorecards. Give me your thoughts on Pitbull's win, and also that he said it before the fight, but he kind of confirmed it after the fight as well. He plans to drop down to 135 in the future and challenge for the title. So what do you think?
First of all, respect to him if he does that. You know what I mean? As far as, I'll start with the fight first. Look, I picked Pitbull. I'm proud of that pick, man. He had Adam Boric, I think, scared or something, man, because he was very smart. He knew, obviously, he realized, Boric is longer than me. He has a range. He's a little bit younger, but I have way more experience. And I'm sure in his head, he's like, I'm the better fighter and I have power. And on top of that, dude, how fucking intelligent, right? To just let Boric come in and let it unleash, right? Let the power flow. And then after that, Boric respected the power and was like, oh shit. Okay. He was a little bit more, going in. It was more dangerous because he realized, okay, this guy can fucking crack me. And on top of that, Pitbull's wrestling, man. He used a little bit in there, And people forget, dude, Pitbull can fucking, I mean, he trains with Cejudo. You know, they forget that was one of the main guys. Cejudo was training there for a bit. And, shit, I mean, if you remember, I mean, he came out with like a tight stance in this fight, you know, like more box eccentric in comparison to the Chandler fight when he fought at 155, where he came out like more karate style, white stance, like Cejudo, you know, to be prepared for the takedowns. I mean, he's an intelligent fighter. He's a good guy. He is a guy that I think will always be like, what if he fought in the, you know, if he would have fought in the UFC or whatever, right? But it doesn't matter because he's still doing it against good guys. You know, you got to give credit to Borch. I mean, he was fucking, according to things I've heard, he was in Hungary. This was a big fight. Like the whole country was you know, hyping him up. We're excited to see him. He was on the news. It was a big deal to them, man. And people shut that shit down. And as far as the move to 135, hey man, I don't care if it's 1FC, PFL, KSW, you know, name the promotion that's big, you know. Any person, especially in MMA, because it's not boxing, who's willing to fight at 3 different weight classes and win a title is fucking impressive. I'd love to see it. I don't care I don't care if it's Bellator. I want to see someone else do it. I love to see someone else do it anywhere else and see if they succeed.
Well, yeah, and I think that if there's a guy that's going to be able to do it and be able to succeed, it's going to be Patricio Pitbull. He's one of those guys that, like, he's so fucking good, and his skills translate to multiple weight classes. Like, I think if he goes down to 135, will he be able to beat, like, will he be able to beat Pettis, Rufon Stotts, guys like that? I don't know.
I think he can. But
he can, though, and I want to be able to.
Well, if we will, obviously we don't know. But
yeah,
I think, let's establish, Josh.
Yeah,
guy's a good fighter.
Yeah.
He can do it. Whether or not he does it is up to the quick. Because look, we've seen the drainage happen to guys, and they are not the same.
Yeah, that's true.
And they are not the same. Because look, it's one thing to, you know, go up a weight class. It's another thing to go down. Going down is always harder.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah,
and we've seen that historically, dude, across boxing, MMA, I'm sure kickboxing, fucking Muay Thai, whatever you want to name it. Going down is always harder than going up. Going up, at least you have more power. Maybe you're not draining yourself more. At 135, man, he's gonna have to find a good dietitian, good guys who can help him make this cut. Because if not, he's gonna lose a bit of himself, and he could get hurt. And dude, Josh, could you imagine that? 3 titles at this.
Yeah.
I've talked about it. You know, I've had this conversation with you.
Yeah.
Like, would he be sick? And three's kind of the cutoff. You know, I feel like anybody beyond that is, wow, you're a god. Please don't touch me. You know?
Yeah, right.
I mean, he's a special individual. Just say it, man. I mean, he knocked out Michael Chandler, Josh. Michael Chandler fights in the UFC. Michael Chandler performs well in the UFC. Michael Chandler fought Justin Gaethje and didn't get knocked out by Justin Gaethje. And it was violent. They were hurting each other. They cracked each other. Pitbull knocked out Michael Chandler.
Yeah, correct. I mean, he's a once-in-a-lifetime talent, no doubt. But if there's one guy I want to see him fight before he goes down to 135, it's AJ McKee, man.
Again,
I want to see that fight again, dude. I mean,
I know, but AJ said no 145. There is no title. But the thing is, they'll give him the fight, so I don't know what the issue is.
Yeah, well, he went in and said afterwards, and we'll get into this, because AJ McKee fought in the co-main against Spike Carlisle. One of the best fights in a long time. Best fight of the weekend by a mile, in my opinion. Yeah, man, afterwards, he went ahead and said that he does want that trilogy, and he wants that fight at 145, and that this is probably the time to make it, considering he wants to go to 155, and Patricio wants to go down to 135, so if there's a time to make that fight, it's right now. And I agree, dude. I need that shit. I need that trilogy. What do you think?
I mean, I want it, man. I mean, the way the first fight ended, the second fight was underwhelming. It's 1-1. Let's see who the better guy is.
Yeah, I agree. Especially because, like, second fight was not very entertaining, but, like, I don't even really care. Like, I think that they're both, like, the two best. I'll say it straight up. I think those are the two best fighters that are not in the UFC right now. Like, regardless of weight class. That's how strongly I feel about that. I think those guys are both very, like, they're generation. We know what Patricio is, and I think AJ, like, over this, like, as time goes on, we'll see this too. I think he's also, like, a generational talent.
That's Josh, right, did anybody ever do Spark Carlisle like that in the UFC? Come on.
No.
Exactly. So we know.
He beat the shit out. Like, Spike had a solid minute. He had a solid first minute, but I think he even got knocked down at the end of that minute. So,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, gotta see that fight next, man. I think it's the biggest fight Bellator can make outside of, like, maybe a big Fedor fight, you know? Yeah, I gotta see that one next. And, yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to say outside of that. I mean, but Patricio, I want to see him chase greatness. I do. But I don't want to see him do that if he's not fighting AJ first.
Look, it's gonna sound kind of heartbreaking, but you think about it, Pitbull's older, man. He kind of, at this point, I mean, I feel like if anything, it's really his choice.
No, I agree. And I think
he doesn't have to fight AJ. I feel like if anything, I feel like for him, it'd probably be better not to fight AJ.
I would like to see him do whatever he wants. I think he's earned that right.
Oh, look at you, Josh, being a father figure.
Oh, Jesus. But as a fan, I want to see him fight that. I want to see him fight AJ at least one more time. One more time, that's all. And then go for your third title, you know? And I wouldn't blame him if he didn't want to do it, because those two clearly don't like each other. I'm sure he didn't want to give him the shot. But, you know,
Hey, man, it's all good, though. I mean, the heat is always... It always makes it better.
And here's the thing too, is I think regardless we're gonna have fun. Like, if AJ does not fight, you know, Patricio next, they're probably gonna get a Patricio versus Pettis or Rufon Stotts fight, or Dane Sepetalo, you know, God willing, you know, and then McKee will probably end up fighting the winner of Usman Nurmagomedov versus, you know, Patricky Pitbull. So I think
there's so many fun fights though for Pitbull at 135 though.
No, I agree. There's multiple.
Like the names are all intriguing. I mean, fuck, dude. I mean, Stotts, Magomed, you know, I mean they all sound fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's no bad outcome from this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, man, yeah, overall, pretty solid Bellator card. I thought it was overall better than the UFC card, but yeah, I think we should go ahead and just move one fight down, because this is fucking crazy, man. Aaron Pico taking on Jeremy Kennedy. We kind of knew that if Pico, you know, if he won, boom, title shot right there, 26 years old, 6-fight winning streak, gone in the blink of an eye. He ends up dislocating his shoulder in the opening minute of the fight, spends the rest of the round trying to go ahead and pop it back in. Somehow Jeremy Kennedy couldn't really do much, despite the fact that he was fighting a one-armed man. And Aaron Pico gets back to the corner, and they spend a minute trying to shove that shit back into place. Can't get it done.
They didn't do it properly, just, you know, from what I heard. Like they didn't at all try to do it right.
Not even close. So what do you think about that, man?
Dude, honestly, very, very sad for Aaron Pico, man. I mean, he's getting to this high level. He's looking so good, and then a fucking injury like that. And dude, he wanted to fight. I think that's the one thing you gotta. Look. I've never gotten to appreciate Aaron Pico as much as I think you have, but after that moment where he wanted to fight, dude, there was something in me where I'm like, I don't know how to word it properly, Josh, but I was like, I fuck with that. Mm-hmm. I fuck with that. And I love the energy, dude. I was just the fact that he wanted to fight. And I saw an edit. I don't know if it was real, but of him in the corner, or I don't know, or I know he might have said to the doctor, but it was like, dude, this is how I make my money. I need to fight. This is how I feed my family. And that shit it hit me, man. Mm-hmm. And it was like, I fuck with Aaron Pico. And I fucked with him before, but that just made it so much easier, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Pico is a fucking savage, dude. I mean,
and look, we're gonna give some credit to his opponent. His opponent did looking for that, you know, the minute of action where Pico wasn't hurt, you know, or didn't have the injury. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the thing is that there's no way to tell how that fight would have gone. And obviously, Jeremy Kennedy.
No, they got to run it back.
They got to run it back. But it is a little bit frustrating because, like, man, Pico's there, man. Like, I think that this fight, like, we didn't see much out of it, but, like, we kind of got that confirmation, like, yeah, Aaron Pico is going to be a fucking problem. Like, if he didn't know that, despite his incredible accolades and before he started MMA, if he did not know that, despite all the shit that he's shown in the cage recently, like, he's right there, dude. Like, he's so close to being elite. And I want to see him run back that fight hopefully soon. And I think he probably wins that one, if I'm being completely honest with you. Like,
oh yeah,
it's going to be a hell of a fight if it does indeed happen soon. But yeah, man, it is what it is. But Aaron Pico obviously went viral for that in terms of like the corner aggressively trying to fucking put that shit back into place and failing miserably.
Cool, yeah, but him being cool too the whole time, just like come on, let's do this. You know what I mean,
dude? From what I've heard, it's like some of the most painful shit you can go through.
Well, dude, I've had my foot. That's happened to me with my foot.
Yeah,
put it back in place, and it fucking sucked. I could only imagine an arm.
Yeah, I dislocated my ankle, like probably like I don't know, like
I think yeah, it was in my foot. That's probably the proper way to put it. My ankle, yeah.
Yeah, I dislocated my ankle too, and that was some of the most painful shit I've ever gone through. Like, so that probably is the most painful thing that's ever happened to me. So yeah, I can't even imagine happening.
Same.
Yeah. So, and I've heard the shoulders like arguably worse, but yeah, man, just brutal. But yeah, Aaron Pico will be back. He'll be fine. I think he's right. He's right fucking there, dude. I mean, he's so close to being elite. But as far as the rest of the Bellator 286 card went, what do you think about it?
I mean, it was solid, man. I mean, there was a lot of stuff that went down. I mean, like I told you, they had a little bit of everything. Juan Archuleta getting a big win over Enrique Barzola. JJ Wilson, who I always bring up, getting a nice little split decision. Lance Gibson Jr., a submission in the first round over a guy that he should be beating. You know, obviously they're kind of bringing him up slowly. And to start out the card, Josh, an Anderson Silva-esque injury to start the night against Richard Polinsky. Fucking heartbreaking, man. 10-0 coming into Bellator, 32 years young, you know, we'll say it, coming from the LFA, and a leg injury. I mean, that is heartbreaking. You know, I gotta feel for Richard Polinsky, man. That is, I'll say it, man. I wish him a speedy recovery. It'll be quite a while before we see him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was fucking brutal, dude. I mean, that was insanely tough to watch, especially when Bellator cards, like, they always have a shit ton of prelims, because it's something that, like, a lot of people, like, you ever see, like, Bellator purses come out, and they'll be like, oh my god, this guy only got paid, like, $3K. Well, they take guys that are 1-0 and 2-0, and they give them, like, a deal, to kind of, like, a developmental deal to fill out the prelims, right? So these guys are fighting at, like, 4:30 our time. I cannot fucking imagine breaking your leg in a cage fight at 4:30 p.m. and having to, like, we've had this conversation before with me, like, not even on the show, but, like, imagine, like, whenever, like, the UFC fighters fought in Singapore in June for UFC 2, I think it was 75, right? Imagine getting knocked the fuck out at 7 a.m. and you have to go and do the rest of the day. Like, at least if you get knocked out at, like, Vegas, it's like, oh, yeah, it's like 11 o'clock at night. I can just go back to bed. And then the next day, like, it's a bright day. Motherfucker had to wake up and then do his day. Like, he had to wake up from being knocked out and do his day. This guy broke his leg at 4 p.m. Central Time and then had to, like, do his day. Like, that's just brutal.
Well, no, I'm sure he had to probably go get hit surgery and all that. It wasn't like that.
You get my point, though. That's just tough, man. Yeah, speedy recovery to him. Also on the prelims, go and give a shout out to Sumuko and Abada. Lady Samurai, 5-0. She's somebody who could be a star in the Bellator, women's, like, division. Even, like, the women's, flyweight division, excuse me. She's a very fun fighting style, and, like, they can kind of tell that they see something in her. Like, she keeps on landing on, like, some of these bigger cards. Like, she was on Bellator 279, which was the card that had, like, the Bantamweight tournament, and Chris Cyborg on that one. She was on Bellator 268, which was Badr Anderson and Nemkov was fighting on that one. Like, Bellator clearly sees something in here, so expect to see her on, like, some of these bigger events in the future. Also on the new card, JJ Wilson picked the winner, Vladimir Tokolov. Islam Mamedov defeating Nick Brown. And opening up the card was Juan Archuleta defeating Enrique Barzola at 35. He lost 2 in a row. He's starting to think, like, oh, is Juan Archuleta, like, maybe he's on the way out? He dominated Enrique Barzola. So, solid win by him. And, yeah, man, overall, a solid Bellator 286 card. And yeah, they're taking a couple of weeks off. They'll be back on October 29th, which is a busy ass day. They're going to be back in Italy, and also on the same day as UFC Vegas 63 and Jake Paul versus Anderson Silva. So guys can go ahead and mark that one on your calendar. Going to be a busy day. So yeah, man, solid card, and can't wait to see them back in action at the end of the month. But yeah, there's no MMA or any real boxing this week. I mean, there is, but probably not going to be. Which we'll talk about in the news section, but we're gonna go and hit some kickboxing, man. I feel like we rarely talk about kickboxing, just because like it's kind of like in terms of like star powers, it's a weird sport. But we do have a really big kickboxing match coming up on, I believe, Saturday. Yeah, Saturday in the Netherlands. Glory Collision 4 on pay-per-view, being main evented by Alistair Overeem's return to kickboxing. It'll be his first kickboxing bout in 12 years, and he's facing a familiar foe, Badr Hari, one of the greatest heavyweights in kickboxing history. These two have fought on 2 prior occasions. In the first outing, Badr got put to sleep with a left hook. In the second outing, ended up being a TKO win for the former champion. Sitting at 1-1, and look, man, this has all the makings to be a classic. Both these guys are past their best, you know, but still a lot of excitement in this one. What do you think about this fight, man? And will you be tuning in on Saturday?
I mean, I have to, man. Overeem back to and it's glory, man. It's a perfect setting. And Badr Hari. I mean, it's 2 massive names. I mean, what else could you want in the Netherlands? I mean, I can't imagine the buzz that's going out there, especially with all like how big that sport is out there. I mean, it's gonna be fun, and I'm curious to see how Overeem looks. I think that's the big thing. How is Overeem gonna look in kickboxing from being? I mean, what was the last time Overeem had a kickboxing match? Like, what year was it? If you
2010. 2010, he went ahead and knocked out Peter Aerts.
Yeah, I mean, 12 years. I mean, how is it going to seem? How's it going to look after 12 years removed?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's the big thing. And for Badr Hari, I know a lot of ups and downs and some bangers in there, and him still being active. I mean, is it going to be a war? Is it going to be a dominant performance? Is it going to be a showcase? Is it going to be fun back and forth between all the foes? Like, what is it going to turn into?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's kind of the fun part is we don't really know what Overeem's going to do. I mean, I enjoy, not as a person, because Badr as a person is kind of a piece of shit, but as a fighter, he's one of the greatest action fighters in kickboxing history, straight up. I mean, this guy has gone to, like, I mean, Jesus Christ, he's had, of his 106 wins, 92 were by knockout, 16 losses, 13 were by knockout. Essentially, he's kill or be killed. Even in his last fight, which didn't even have anything to do with him, the fight was canceled halfway through due to a fucking riot. So, if Badr's fighting, you know that it's going to be a big deal. He has not won in like 7 years, but that's more just like, you know, he lost to Rico, he injured his arm. He had a no contest. Originally it was a decision win, but it was a no contest, against Hazy Gurges back in 2018. Then he lost to Rico again, this time by leg injury. He got knocked out in an incredible come from behind win by Benjamin Igwe. And then he got knocked out again. And then obviously the riot. So he's had a rough go of it recently. If I were to make a prediction, I'd probably say Overeem. But dude, this is about as big of a coin flip fight as you can get, just considering there's so many unknowns going into this one. But, yeah, I'm really looking forward to this fight. It's been a while since we've had like a really big kickboxing match, but this one has this one's got a lot of mainstream attention, so I'm really excited for it. So yeah, that's Glory Collision 4 going down in the Gelro Dome in Netherlands. 41,000 people can be held in that thing, so it's going to be a huge fucking deal in the Netherlands. There's also 4 title fights going down on the main card. Biggest name of which Tiffany Van Soest, who you may have heard of. She fought in MMA for like a little bit, and Invicta was not that great, but she beat Christine Ferreira, who is, funnily enough, the BKFC champion right now. So, may have heard of her. So yeah, it's a hell of a card, man. So yeah, really looking forward to that one. Any other thoughts on the card in terms of like the Overeem versus Badr trilogy before we gotta move on?
No, man, I'm just really curious to see what happens with Overeem. I mean, he's older, far removed from the sport. I mean, it's just as simple.
Mm. Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, I'm super excited for that one. And Overeem, he said that he's only got 2 to 3 more fights left in him. Kickboxing, MMA, he said he's not sure if he'll do another MMA one, so we'll see what happens. I think a lot of that is honestly dependent on how things go on Saturday, but we will see. Speaking of fighters in terms of like fighting MMA and seeing what will happen, Aspen Ladd recently got released from the UFC. She missed weight against Sarah McMahon for her fight. I believe that was her third time missing weight in the UFC. And they decided to go ahead and part ways, and it makes sense. There was honestly not really much of a chance she was going to stick around after that one. But she's already found a home, and that home is in the PFL. Yeah, she's going to be fighting in the featherweight division for their 2023 year. One of the things that they're going to go and do is they're going to have the featherweight division, which they've already confirmed. And yeah, she's going to fit in nicely over there. What do you think about her going to the PFL? Is it the right destination?
I don't know, man. I really don't know if it's the right destination or not. I don't want to say it's the wrong place, you know. I mean, she's having trouble making weight. I mean, that's like one of the first things you need to do before you. I mean, it's the first thing you do before you make it into the cage, outside of obviously training. And she has failed at it repeatedly at multiple weight classes, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like she just simply cannot do it. I don't know if it's some irresponsibilities on her end, or she's trying to fight down way too much or trying to cut too much. Like, there's just something not going right there. And look, if it continues, then there's an issue here. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We'll just be direct. But for her sake, man, I hope it's good. I hope the tournament format can help her maintain weight, you know, in some capacity and make it easier on her. And for her sake, obviously, that she makes more money and continues to fight, because obviously she likes fighting if she's still doing it. She didn't give up on it.
Mm-hmm. And the thing about Aspen Ladd is like, you know, obviously her career in the UFC ended terribly. But she has still so much talent, man, and that's very, very clear. She needs to figure out that weight shit, man, and it really didn't become a problem later in her career. I don't know why. I guess she was getting older. She's still very, very young, but look, I think PFL is probably the best destination for her right now. I think like Bellator, their women's featherweight division it's all right, but there's even uncertainty there. I mean, Chris Cyborg's not even under contract anymore, you know. So we'll see what happens there. I think like for right now, like PFL's probably the place to go if you're a woman. I mean, there's a lot of good names there. Larissa Pachenko, Kayla Harrison probably wants to fight at 145 moving forward. We don't know if she'll fight in the season. Probably won't. But, you know, who's to say that a fight against Aspen Ladd would not be pretty entertaining, you know? Julia Budd's over there now. There's a lot of good names. So, I mean, in terms of making money, PFL's the place to be right now. So, I think it's the right move. I really don't know where else she would have gone outside of Bellator. Maybe Invicta, but I doubt they'd be able to pay her that much. So
yeah, they'd have to give her a fair bit of money. Come on, Josh, ONE FC.
What? No. I mean, does ONE FC even have like a women's featherweight weight class? They don't.
No, I don't believe so. I was just saying it as a joke.
Oh, okay. But I mean, I think that's probably the right destination for Aspen in her career. Because honestly, I think she'll probably be back in the UFC one day. I think she has way too much talent, and I think this is a rough patch for her. She needs to figure it out. I think she will.
Do you think she'll have like that Rumble Johnson kind of like success out of the UFC, and then she'll come back? Obviously,
she could.
Very much different, obviously.
Yeah, she absolutely could. I think that like if UFC took women's featherweight more seriously, she'd be fine. She'd be up there right now. You know, so. I don't know, man. It just is what it is. She needs to figure that out, and I think PFL is probably the place to do it. She can fight up 155, 145. They're fine doing catch weights they've done in the past, so it'll be fun to see what happens in the next, you know. But yeah, speaking of fun people, Kevin Holland. You know, we didn't even really discuss what's been going on with him, but yeah, he went ahead and retired last week. Then he unretired today. He's going to be fighting Stephen Wonderboy Thompson in a main event in December out in, I believe, Orlando.
Oh, wow. He pulled the car move there, huh?
Yeah. So what do you think about that matchup, man? I think this is very ideal. Wonderboy's talked about how he's wanted to fight a veteran or at least a striker, somebody to have a fun matchup. The UFC's continually giving him guys like Shotcott and Sean Brady because they fucking hate their veterans for some reason. Mm. it's really fucking bizarre. But regardless, this is honestly like a really fun fight, and 5 rounds is also awesome. I'm a big fan of that.
Oh, shit.
What do you think about this one, man?
I mean, hey, man, that's still a dangerous fight. Wonder Boy is dangerous on the feet.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, the striking style is very hard. You know what I mean? We've seen it. MVP, Wonder Boy, they're hard guys on the feet for anybody who tries to stand with them. For Kevin Holland, I'm curious to see if he does decide to engage him in the stand up in the way some might be imagining. I don't know if it's going to play out the way we think, but wow. I mean, it's a good matchup. It's fun. I mean, I think it'll be a little funny. You know, obviously, Waterboy doesn't really talk shit. We know that. Mm-hmm. Kevin Holland doesn't really talk shit, but he, unless you start talking shit to him, but he doesn't clap back like that. You know, he's not going to be shitting on Wonderboy and making fun of him or anything.
Yeah, but we'll see what happens there in terms of shit talk. But as far as fights go, man, look, I'm surprised they actually decided to pull the trigger on this one, man. I really am. UFC does not do fights like this often, where they're
and a ranked opponent at that for Kevin after losing to Chimaev.
Yeah, correct. I mean, they normally don't do stuff like this, but I'm very, very happy that they are. This is honestly an awesome matchup. It's a fan-friendly one. We don't get fights really too often where it's oh shit, they're actually going to throw 2 guys together who actually people want to see fight.
This is actually a good question that I have now for you.
Go ahead.
Do you think Wonderboy retires after this fight?
No.
Really?
He said he wants to finish his UFC contract out. He has 5 more fights.
Fuck, man. That's a lot of fights.
He's alright, said that he's not and here's the thing with Wonderboy, man, I really don't think he's as washed as we seem. He fought Bilal and he got dominated, but before that, he had a close fight with Gilbert Burns. He was I'm not sure if you remember that one, but that one was very, very close. And ended up losing by decision. He got dominated by Bilal, but we did not know how good Bilal was at that point in time. Now we kind of have a better idea. And I think Bilal was just a really rough matchup for him. Striking wise, this is still an excellent fight, and I think if they give him some more fun matchups, yeah, hell yeah, man, he can finish out that 5-fight deal. You know what I mean? The only reason why he has not been normally he fights 2-3 times a year. It's just the UFC's been icing him out because they want to have him fed to some young fucking wrestler. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think he'll be fine. I really do think he will be. But, yeah, the matchup wise.
Shockbot's going to fight now that you mentioned that.
Shockbot? I have no idea. No clue.
Winner or loser of Brady versus Below.
That'd make sense. That would make a lot of sense. But anyways, man, yeah. I mean, moving on. This is a bit of a sadder note, but I mean, the dude. I mean, Jesus Christ, this guy had a fucking insane life. Antonio Inoki, known for wearing a lot of hats. He was a former professional wrestler. He was a former promoter, I believe, in terms of I believe he promoted. I know they worked with Pride in some capacity. I'll put it like that. I don't remember if he owned Pride or whatever, but he promoted many MMA events throughout the years. He was also a politician in later in his life. But his most important contribution to MMA is he had one of the first real modern-ish MMA fights.
Mixed rule bout, if anything, right?
Yeah, it was mixed rules. He fought Muhammad Ali for 15 rounds, June 25th, 1976, in front of a sold-out Nippon Kodokan indoor arena in Tokyo, Japan. At that point, Muhammad Ali was still the WBC, WBA, IBF, I don't give a fuck, WTF heavyweight champion of the world. And he went over to Japan and he had a mixed rules fight. It was not scripted. If you guys want to read about it, it's this really, really great book by Josh Gross about it. Incredible book, incredible moment in history. Ended up passing away earlier this week. He was, I believe, 79. Yeah, 79 years old. I mean, dude, this guy had about as crazy of a life you can have. I said it when he passed, one of the coolest motherfuckers to walk this earth, Antonio Inoki. Give me your thoughts in terms of his career and his contribution to MMA and his ultimate passing.
You know, you can't see me right now, but I got a little teary eyed thinking about it. I was like, I guess he gets to see Muhammad Ali again.
Oh damn! Why you gotta say that, man?
I know, man. I was thinking about it right now. I was like, they get to meet again one more time.
Yeah.
I'm sure with the language barrier and everything, it must have been hard to communicate at the time. I'm sure there's a lot of respect there. Well, like you said, what a fucking cool guy, man. There's people like that we know of, and people that live, and people you'll meet through your life who just do cool shit, man. And I saw that video. I think you retweeted him giving some final words about if he could offer or say anything to the people. I don't know if they did this knowingly because he knew he was actively passing or just because he was in bad condition. But he talked about the world and how the world is polluted and how people could how we should make some difference and change. And I was like, dude, for being 80 years old, living an exciting life, probably having, I'm assuming he's in financially decent space. I'm not going to make any assumptions. And to bring up such a simple thing like, we should clean up the planet in your final moments. There was something about that I had utter respect for. And like you said, he's just a cool guy. I mean, you break it down. I mean, he's just an interesting human being. And thank you for making something that we didn't even know existed yet happen.
Yeah, and the thing is like I said it like at the time too, like right after he passed, like there's no modern MMA without Antonio Inoki. Like that's not even a stretch or a joke. It was the first real, because there have been like fights. MMA's been around in some form or another for hundreds of years. That's not an exaggeration. But in terms of big promoted MMA fights, there's only been a couple. I know that it's kind of fucked up. He just passed recently as well. I can't remember his name. He was the Olympian judo guy. He choked out Steven Seagal. God damn it, I cannot remember his name.
I know exactly who
Judo Gene LaBelle.
Gene LaBelle.
Yeah, Gene LaBelle had an MMA fight with a boxer back in like 1963. Choked the guy out. Put him out cold. And that was a big promoted fight at the time. But in terms of big promoted fights, it was like Inoki, Ali, Judo Gene LaBelle had one. There's some other ones throughout the years, but like that was in front of a sold out crowd. They still were working out the rule set. They didn't really know everything yet, but like that was a huge deal at the time, and there's no modern MMA without it. That's not a stretch either, because the UFC did not start for another, 15 years after that. So, yeah, man, and as a human being, I mean, he was an incredible pro wrestler. Apparently he was like a sweetheart of a guy. Very, very interesting person. He got into politics as he was still a wrestler. And a fun fact for you, he helped negotiate the release of hostages, Japanese hostages, with Saddam Hussein himself during the Gulf War. So he was an incredible human being, lived fucking 6 lives in one. And yeah, man. So yeah, that's just incredible. So anyways, man, incredible person, and thank you to Antonio Inoki. But in terms of moving on, don't want to end the show on a down note. Conor Benn, well, this is actually a bit of a down note too, but we'll move on from this. Conor Benn is supposed to fight Chris Eubank on Saturday. That's probably not going to happen. I say supposed to. We don't know for sure what's happening. Tested positive for clomiphene. If you guys know what clomiphene is, it's actually a thing that John Jones tested positive for UFC 200, which is funny because I remember thinking, like, when's the last time we had like a fight like derailed this close to it? It was like it was UFC 200. It's the last big time I can remember.
No. Ruiz, Anthony Joshua's original opponent, Big Baby.
Yeah, but that wasn't as close. That he tested positive like a month out.
True, but that's still a decent time.
No, I know.
A month is still a month.
This close proximity.
I mean, this is like days before. It's within the week.
Yeah. Fair enough. Anyways, man. Yeah, I mean, this is just, crazy. Test positive for clomiphene, and fight may be off. I mean, not a whole lot to say about this one because we don't really know much right now. But, I mean, Jesus Christ, dude. If I were Chris Eubank, I'd be going fucking insane right now.
Conor Benn said an hour ago, we were talking about it too, he said according to him, the fight is still gonna happen, which I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, and the thing is like, He said the fight's gonna go ahead, but like they're not even. It's kind of interesting too because normally they're like, oh, tainted supplement this, like I didn't even know, like all that stuff. Oh my God, this
has he not even argued it?
They've never, from what I've seen, no, they haven't even made up any excuses. They're just like, oh yeah, the fight's going ahead. Yeah, they're just like, oh yeah, fight's going ahead. Like,
I need to do some research. I need to listen to some of the boxing podcasts that I haven't listened to in forever, dude. Because I used to listen to a lot, and I'm sure the guys are going crazy right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just crazy situation.
I mean, if it does happen, how are you gonna feel about it?
What do you mean? If the fight happens?
Yeah.
Oh, I think Chris Eubank's gonna fuck him up.
Oh, even with the fucking Zazuli.
Yeah, I don't think it really matters. I mean, dude, like, Conor Benn has the potential to be a future world champion. That's not a doubt in my mind. He has power like a fucking truck. Now we know why.
Ooh, okay.
He's a monster, dude. But here's the reality: he has not even fought a not top 15. I think probably Algieri or Van Heerden were top 15 when he fought him. He's not fought a top caliber guy down at 147. He's going to be fighting one of the top 168 pounders on the planet. Like, Chris Eubank is a monster up at 116, up at 168. Like, dude, he's not even jumping to the deep end. He's fucking going to, like, the ocean and jumping in without even knowing how to swim yet. Like, it is, I mean, this is like a ridiculous fight on paper, which is why I was surprised it got made. Because, like I said, dude, like, we've not even seen Conor Benn fight like a top guy at his own weight class. He's skipping up 3 weight classes to fight Chris Eubank Jr. Now they're doing a catch weight, but it's at 157. It's closer to Eubank than it is Benn. So
the numbers, right? They're always so weird in boxing. We're gonna be fighting at 156.
Yeah, I mean it's a weird catch weight, but yeah, I mean if the fight happens, I fully expect Chris Eubank to beat him.
You know, there was a really fucked me up, like 142. You know, like shit like that.
Yeah. But
like what the fuck? Why the 2 extra? You know?
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, if the fight happens, Chris Eubank will almost definitely win. If it doesn't, then I'm not surprised.
How would you feel if Conor Benn won?
Oh, that'd be insane! Instant title shot.
If Conor Benn won and he from we know at this point, Benny blatantly cheated.
Yeah, no, I mean, if he even wins, there's a possibility he gets overturned because they're probably searching around for any commission right now that'll sanction him. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, there's not a whole lot we can see right now due to that, but I mean, I'm sure you're on the same page.
I'm sure there's an anti-doping clause, and I'm sure that if something does happen, they'll probably sue him or something.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think happens if if they do fight? Because I know I give my opinion. But what do you think?
Fuck, I hope fucking, I looked into it a little bit. I haven't done all my research. I should have done it, like, way back when we first talked about this, because I told you, I was like, I need to look into the history a little bit more, because I was actually really curious, because it's a sick story, right? Mm-hmm. But, I mean, yeah, like you said, he's never fought a ranked guy, but look, there's been times where guys have never fought a ranked guy, they finally get the opportunity, and bam, they shine.
Mm-hmm.
Anything's possible, man.
Absolutely. I mean, he could pull off the upset. I mean, that's not even like a question. He's that good. Like, but, going from like fighting, a 38-year-old Chris Algieri and like an older washed Chris Van Heerden was never even that incredible in his prime anyway, to fighting a prime Chris Eubank could probably be champion right now, 160. It's just, yeah, that's rough, man. But anyways, last topic of the day, Bo Nickel, taking on Jamie Pickett. We talked last week about who he could fight in his debut. 15 fucking minutes after we wrapped, he had his fight made. They're going to be fighting on UFC 282, I believe, in December. Results on the matchup, man. Is it the right matchup at this point in time?
I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, they're just going to try to ease him into it, see what kind of level he's at. Without, I mean, it's not going to be a fucking co-main or main event. I mean, I imagine he's going to win it. Mm-hmm. But you never know. I mean, JP Pickett's a tough out for anybody, but I got to give respect to Bo Nickel. 3 fights in 1 year? Shit. That's impressive, and I'm sure he'll fight very early next year, so he'll have 4 fights in a calendar year, I imagine.
Yeah. I'd imagine. I mean, he's doing things the right way. He's staying active. He's fighting a guy who he should be fighting at this point in time. A guy that's on the lower end of the UFC scale. Still good. I think Jamie Pickett's current, record in the UFC is not really indicative of his talent level. Like, he's had moments in every single one of those fights. He's had multiple close fights. He's right there, but he just can't put it all together. That's the type of guy that Bo Nickal should be fighting right now in his career. If you think he should be fighting like fucking Hamzat or Robert Whittaker, you're crazy. So yeah, this is the right matchup for this point in time. But yeah, man, that's all I really got to say about it in terms of MMA news. Is there anything else we talk about before we close out?
I mean, I don't think there's anything I'm forgetting. I think we kind of hit everything, and we're kind of just waiting now on the Conor Benn and Chris Eubank situation to kind of get figured out.
Yeah. And we will see, and by the time that you guys listen to this, you'll probably know already. We're recording this on Wednesday, but, it is what it is. Hope you guys enjoy the show, honestly. I'm at Josh Evanoff on Twitter. He's at __01. RogueEnergy.com. Code Soundoff if you want to go and get 10% off. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace and butt grease. Mouse click.